Hey guys, Chastity and Greg here with another breakdown for Star Trek Discovery, this time with Season 2, Episode 12, Through the Valley of the Shadows.
Again, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen the episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back.
So the title of the episode is not a reference to this song.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
But instead, it is a reference to Psalm 23, verse 4, English Standard Version. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So it's commonly used during funerals and those approaching death.
And this represents Pike for this episode, and I thought that was really well done. At least for everything with Pike, I can't get enough of him on this show, and I really, really hope he comes back, even though it looks like it's not going to happen. This is it for him, the end of the road. But at the same time, I'm excited to see where we're going here in the future.
Yeah.
These last two episodes.
All right, let's jump into a recap. So the episode kicks off with Amanda telling Michael that she will find her birth mother again through hologram.
Take care of each other. I love you both.
Now, Burnham wants to pursue Leland to go after him and Section 31's control, but they don't want to risk the sphere data at all, so they're not going to bring Discovery anywhere near it.
Then there's another new red signal over Boreth, which is number 4 of 7.
So the other mystery still out there is this unknown entity that's causing the red signals, like we learned last week that it's not Burnham's mom.
Yeah,
now,
she said she has no idea what they are.
Before we can even go into dissecting who it could be, and I'm not doing that anymore after the whole Iconians thing, and I'm not even going to touch the Borg thing. We'll talk about that if it happens a few episodes later. I hope it doesn't. Now, with that said, before I can even go look up everything I want on that, Burnham hits us with this.
Speculating about what the signals could mean or who created them is unproductive.
So yeah, it's just on pause. We have no leads right now.
The leads are weak.
The leads are weak. The fucking leads are weak. You're weak.
That's the writers telling us to stop.
Yeah, stop speculating.
Just move
We're
on.
figuring it out. Then Ash confides in Michael the truth about his child with Laurel.
So yeah, that did feel a little bit like a daytime soap opera turn there about the baby and everything.
Yes.
I didn't expect that.
You should have told me. Oh, you should have told me your problems.
Yeah, and then Laurel shows up
Embrace.
in another daytime soap opera aspect of the show, again with Laurel telling him, confirming that she's okay with Michael. It's all good.
That's nice. So when Laurel arrives on the Disco ship, she reveals that the Boreth Monastery has been a secret spot for the time crystals.
Guarded with Klingon lives for generations. Time crystals.
Then she has this fight or
Domestic
argument
squabble.
with Ash in front of Pike, and Pike's like, I volunteer, I'll go down. Please
all
stop,
good, guys.
please stop.
Now, Laurel agrees with Pike that he can go down there, but she warns him.
But no Klingon, let alone a human, has ever taken a time crystal from the monastery without great sacrifice.
The alternative is worse.
Michael finds out that a Section 31 ship missed its check-in, so she's granted leave by Saru to investigate the Section 31 ship. And Spock joins Burnham on her Control/Section 31 investigation.
And then Pike meets the timekeepers of Boreth. So Pike makes his stand. He's going to do whatever it takes to get that crystal. And Tanavik says,
Time will tell.
He almost laughed at his own pun there.
that is super close to a Mr. Freeze pun. I'm just saying, that's on that line.
Chill out.
Now, freeze.
Cool party.
So Tanavik reveals that he's the son of Nun, so Pike makes the connection that he's Ash and Laurel's son.
Yes. Now, the age?
Yeah, he's like 30.
Which is, okay, so they chalked it up to the time crystals. Just being on that planet,
Time
working
moves
with them.
strangely here.
Sure. I would like to think that the writers did this to play a nod to another character, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Then Spock and Burnham approach the Section 31 ship and find the crew has been dumped into open space. But there's one survivor, Lieutenant Gant. But is he?
No, and everyone probably knew the second they brought him on that ship.
So obvious.
Yeah, like, oh, it's Control. But I was waiting, when is Spock gonna figure this out? And then they chalked it up to, oh, his tricorder.
They're smarter than this.
Control, hey, okay, Control's really smart.
Control
and
is a genius.
Again, if they're gonna paint Control as this all-knowing being who may be the origins of some kind of Borg thing, I get it, why they want to make him so powerful and smart here.
And just a couple episodes ago, or maybe an episode ago, like Control was complaining about how it hasn't quite nailed emotions yet to Leland, but like there was a moment between Michael and Gant where they they hugged and it worked. Like it grasped emotion.
So he's figuring things out as it goes along a little bit more.
Scary.
Tenavik takes Pike to the Time Crystal Mine. So he shows him the Pillar of the Past, and then he goes past that to get to the Pillar of the Future, and you're starting to get a little confused, but it makes sense once you get into the actual mine and see the crystals and what happens to Pike thereafter. So Pike touches one of the time crystals, and this is the moment where we get a flash forward to the events in the radiation explosion that caused Pike to end up in his very own cage. In the back of my mind, I thought, are they gonna somehow show Pike in the chair at any point? Are they gonna do a flash forward?
And they did.
And they found a way to do it.
Yeah.
It was a cool scene, but at the same time, how rude, because that was like heartbreaking too, to see that. And then the glass, again, I feel like, is this a thing now with every captain or her crew member?
Just being separated by glass.
Separating by glass, the Wrath of Khan thing, every time, like let's find a different route here. I know it's a good, the shot was great. Framing,
it's a great
awesome.
shot. It's a great shot.
But let's do something else here. It can't be every single person has to have that moment with the Wrath of Khan.
It's effective. It's really admirable how Pike decides to think about the needs of the many instead and help them out and take the time crystal, even though he knows what's going to happen to him.
Yes. The fact that he now knows his future, unless his mind's wiped when he got off of there, which doesn't seem to be the case.
No, he carried that with him.
So if he's, again, years from now, when he walks in that room and starts to notice, like, this looks a little familiar.
I know this situation.
I know what's going to happen
Does
here.
he just accept his fate? I'm sure he'll try to get out of it, but he won't be able to.
I am assuming, you can't stop what's going to happen, like a Doctor Who episode. You can't stop the future. But I feel like he's going to walk in that room and just be like,
this is it.
And then just walk out. Sorry, everyone. Now, back on Discovery, Reno is trying to help out Stamets and Culber to get them at least, talking to each other. But it seems like they're just trying to get their relationship back together. So we'll see what happens by the season finale. But
it'll probably happen by the end.
Yeah, I agree.
You have a second chance. And it may not last forever. Don't screw it up.
And back on the Section 31 ship, Spock, Burnham, and Gant try to set a cage for Control, but then they figure out that Control is Gant. Then we get a very Terminator-like sequence where Michael's shooting at Gant, but he's like, duh, just like the T-1000.
Yep, it took me a second because you called it.
Yeah.
At first I thought, why don't you just shoot him in the head? And then, no,
this is a reference. This is a reference.
All right.
Yeah. Control's trying to inject Michael with Control nanites, but before they can get to Michael, Spock magnetizes the floor to stop them. So Control's entire plan was to take out Burnham.
Yes, it's the one variable that Control cannot account for, which is Michael, and that means maybe Michael, she has something to do with the red.
Speculating about what the signals could mean or who created them is unproductive.
Pike returns to Disco and gives Ash and Laurel the insignia of the Torchbearer, which he got from their son, and also he believes that everything is meant to be.
Yes, now that he's seen the future and the light, and again, walking through the valley, I have nothing to fear now, even though you know how you're gonna die, it's gonna be okay. And Pike's just like, I've seen the future. I know what's going to happen. I think we're gonna make it out of this okay. Whatever happens to me, this
is my fate. He just
accepts
it.
And with that said, again, this is just a plot. So whatever happens here with Pike, he knows, like, oh, sure, I'll just go along with it because I know this is not how it ends for me.
And lastly, they figure out that Control can move from person to person now without being detected. It seems like Control has taken over a large portion of Section 31 fleet ships, and the Disco crew has no choice but to destroy the ship. What do you think of that?
Sure.
Destroy the ship?
Blow it up.
All
I
right.
want to see what happens next. Let's do it. Are they going to actually destroy the ship? We'll see.
Yeah, I guess so. They called the Enterprise for a transfer of all the crew.
Which is cool. That means you're going to get some Enterprise on Section 31 battles with the Klingons there as well, because they're still near Borth, apparently. So, and then you got the D7 battle cruiser there. So I'm excited for this little mini war we're probably going to get in the next 2 episodes.
All right, now time to jump into things we noticed and Easter eggs.
It looks like the D7 class battlecruiser has entered mass production. Back in episode 3, Ash and Laurel presented the ship's schematics to the Klingon High Council, and now you can see the symbol of the Klingon unity in all its glory. The D7 class was the first Klingon ship designed seen on Star Trek, first shown in the original series.
Borth is the Klingons' most sacred place, housing a monastery and lava caves. In the Klingon legend Story of the Promise, Kalish pointed to a star after promising he would return, saying, "Look for me there on that point of light." The most devout followers followers of Kalish awaited his return there.
Now, Tanavik's age jump was written in as something to do with the time crystals, but this could be a fun nod by the Disco writers to the weird Klingon age jumps over the decades. One of which was Alexander Rozhenko, aka Alexander, son of Worf.
Alexander.
No, wait!
Alexander was portrayed by 3 different actors over an 8-year period. This would establish that the Klingons' youth mature way faster than humans do. In 2367, at age 1, Alexander was played by Jon Stewart, appearing to be about 4 years old. He was later seen from 2368 to 2370, age 2 to 4, played by Brian Bonsall, appearing there to be about 10 years old. Alexander would later return in 2374 at age 8, played by Mark Warden, appearing to be at least 16. The great Ronald D. Moore addressed this directly in an AOL chat back in 1997. We're pegging Alexander to be roughly the equivalent of a 13 to 16-year-old human male, although his actual age is much younger. Hey, Klingons mature faster, okay?
You have grown.
So I've been told.
As guardians of the time crystals, the Timekeepers are armed with some viciously sharp batleths. A batleth is a signature melee weapon of the Klingons, also known as the Sword of Honor. It's about 1 meter long, has 4 sharp points, and is carried with 2 hands. The first batleth was forged by Kalish. It's said that Kalish created it by dropping a lock of his hair into a volcano, then plunging the fiery rock into a lake and twisting it to form a blade.
Seeing Lieutenant Linus at lunch gave us a couple more characteristics of his species. Linus is seen eating a plate of greens, indicating that he is a herbivore, though that could be a personal choice. He also says he's hatched ready, implying that the Saurians are hatched from eggs.
Alright, well that's it for episode 12. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below.
And we will see you all back here next week for episode 13. Bye, guys.